little notes here ready. It is so great to be here with all of y'all. Let's turn this up a little bit. Good afternoon. I'm Jimmy Patronis. I get to share the stage with some really fantastic people up here that I get the honor to work with every single year. We're going to have a few folks come up here to chime in, and I'm going to ask our legislators to please make some comments. But thank you to Chief Tom Smothers for allowing us to indulge the station. Guys, thank y'all for letting us be here and take over this space. Thanks for turning on the air conditioning, I think. So we're, again, honored to be able to recognize our hardworking firefighters, the brothers and sisters that work 24/7, 365, every day of the year. These men and women, they miss birthdays, they miss anniversaries, they miss special events, while so many of us get to enjoy living in this incredible free state of Florida and how amazing of a place we've got. We're also here to release some checks. So we've got some checks we're going to pass out here in a minute. I wish I could take full credit for giving out these checks. Honestly, at the end of the day, I get to sign the checks because I am the state's chief financial officer, but it's these guys over here, they're actually the ones who actually appropriate the money that allow us to have this day today, and I want to give them a round of applause. Our firehouses all around the state, they need special equipment. We need to make sure that the men and women that don the uniform, that rush into danger when everybody is fleeing it, we need to do everything humanly possible to make sure they have long, healthy lives to spend times with their families and with each other and their friends. The equipment, the training, the supplies in order to mitigate the exposure to cancer is something that is near and dear to my heart. I've got a lot of good friends here that have fought dearly on this, that have ensured that the cause of what we're fighting for is worth it. We have been able to make the argument over the last several years to the legislature, and every year I've been in office, I've been proud to say that the Florida legislature has listened, the Florida legislature has offered more resources, and the Florida legislature has had the back of our first responders. So in 2020, we created the Cancer Decontamination Program. Most of y'all have seen these really attractive green buckets that we have. You know, when I first saw these green buckets, I'm thinking, geez, you know, do I have to deal with the University of Miami any more than I already have to, being a Florida State grad? But again, green goes along with the safety of the profession. So the supplies that are in each one of these buckets, whether it be the Biz Queen bags, the water hose, the brushes, the nozzles, the soap, all this goes into what is really an effort to try to change the culture of how we approach this incredible, noble profession. So we're working with the Florida legislature to try to eliminate these carcinogens from getting inside that building, make sure they stay outside the building, and to get the necessary equipment in the hands of our fire stations in order to protect our first responders. Now, as we work with the legislature, I'm proud to say that over the last year, we have doubled the resources been made available. We've got $250,000 that we're going to be awarding throughout the state, and we're going to give out today $112,000 of this money. Thank y'all so much. 13 fire stations are going to be the beneficiary of these resources, and when you think about it, I love to remind people that the men and women that don the uniform, whether you're a firefighter, EMT, a law enforcement officer, and I think there's no state, in my opinion, that appreciates our first responders more than Florida. I appreciate what the legislature's done to lean forward to provide the type of bonuses for our first responders. But I want to leave something with you I think is incredibly important. When you look at a new building being built, whether you look at a new business being opened up for operations, whether you look at a new neighborhood, a new school, a new church, all those investments, none of them, not a single one of them will ever take place if it's not a safe place to be able to make that investment. And if it's not a safe place to make that investment, then you know what? The money will not come here. When those dollars come here, the investment comes, the prosperity comes, the competitiveness comes, the higher wages comes, because you know what? a good place attracts good people. And good people, to have good people, you got to pay them a good wage. All that works out to the prosperity of this amazing state we call Florida. So again, recognizing these heroes, I can't remind y'all of this enough. Birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, special occasions, Thanksgiving. Every Thanksgiving I go and I take, my boys and I will make cookies at home, and Thomas Drive Fire Station is down the street from our house. And we'll always go take a plate of cookies down there and just say thank you. They're working while I'm getting to sit home with my family and eat. I got to admit though, year before last, I go and buildings have overhangs on them. And year before last, I'm going to go take the cookies, and there's a turkey fryer, but the turkey fryer was under the overhang. And I said, guys, that's a no-no. No turkey fryers underneath of the overhang, because that's a fire hazard. I am the state fire marshal. So anyway, the money that we're giving out today in Ocoee is going to go to good use. It's so awesome. This particular station here is going to get a diesel exhaust system that'll be part of the investment and partnership on behalf of the state of Florida in this past year's budget. So this particular extraction equipment, again, is going to help keep the air in this building and the utilization of the equipment here safer for our firemen. Period is that. It's a hard fact to agree with and to share with you, but I want you to keep something in mind. Over half of the deaths, one half of the deaths that happen in the line of duty of our firefighters is cancer related. That is just a number that is simply too hard to digest. Again, this is what brings us all here today. This is why we're going to recognize 11 different fire stations with grants in order to make that work environment just a little bit safer, a little bit cleaner. One step at a time, we're going to shrink that number and make sure that our first responders lead long, healthy lives. In 2019, we fought and passed Senate Bill 426, which provided cancer benefits coverage to our firefighters so they would not have to shoulder the financial burden on a loan. I can't help, still got to call out Mike in the back. Mike, thank you for everything you've done to champion this particular initiative and so many that go to the benefits of our first responders. You have been an incredible voice for bringing this to the forefront, and especially making sure our legislature knows about it. In addition to our firefighters, Senate Bill 838, which passed by the Florida legislature this past session, we expanded the cancer coverage. We learn something every year. We learned that maybe there's a profession that wasn't covered. So then we have to go back and explain this to the legislature and think, we got good people in the legislature. They expand it and they pass this legislation, and we ensure that those other professions are also covered, especially if they're in close proximity to these nasty chemicals. Anyway, I want to ask Chief Smothers to come up and say a few words, and again, just so honored to be able to join y'all here today. Chief?
Thank you. Yes, I'm Tom Smothers. I'm Fire Chief here at the City of Ocoee, beautiful City of Ocoee, and can't express enough how grateful I am for Mr. Patronis' office to reach out to us. We are truly honored to have each and every one of you here, and we're truly very grateful to be able to receive this grant today. And just want to thank all the distinguished guests that are here today, and especially our local guests here, the Mayor, Rusty Johnson, and our Commissioner, Rosemary Wilson. Without them, we wouldn't be in the position we are here. We talked to them, and they gave us the approval to fill out the grants and be able to accept the grants. And without their support, we wouldn't be here, and we just appreciate everything they do for us. And just happy to see all my firefighters here. Just thank you so much for coming to this beautiful city. We're all proud to show off this beautiful station to you. And you see one of our beautiful engines that we have here behind us. We have 4 of them that look just like this. The city's been very good for us. We've got 4 brand new engines that look like this, and we're just happy for everything that's going on here in the City of Ocoee, and happy to be able to accept this grant today. Thank you.
The chief's right. If it's not for the commissioners and the mayor for putting together the budget that allows all this to exist, to create the quality of life, we wouldn't have it. Thank you for your leadership. I'm just going to tell you something, folks. If you don't realize it, especially I'd say the mayor and the commissioner in this particular case, more so than everybody else up here. Their phone rings a heck of a lot more than ours does. So again, thank you for being on the front lines and ensuring the quality of life we have here in this part of the state. Now I'd also like to ask Chief Chuck Bogle to please come up. Chief.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Chuck Bogle, and I'm the East Central Florida representative for the Florida Fire Chiefs Association. And on behalf of Doug Riley, president of the association and the board of directors, we're grateful and honored and privileged to be here today to witness the distribution of these grants to those within our region of the East Central Florida. So it's great to be here. We want to specifically thank CFO Patronis, Governor DeSantis, and the state legislatures for all of their recent work in the past 3 or 4 years. CFO Patronis already made mention specifically the Senate Bill 426, which is cancer benefits. I will tell you personally, we just had a cancer death in our department. He was retired, but nonetheless, he was still eligible for some of those benefits, and it's greatly helpful. And so it all started out with the green buckets, and it's getting better and better. So many departments throughout the state, like Ocala and some of the other representatives that are going to get awarded tonight, this is some of the only funding they have to get this type of funding. So we're very appreciative to the state legislatures and the governor and the CFO for doing this. Hopefully we will be able to continue this on in the future, increase the funding, because as I walked in here, I did notice there was not a smoke exhaust system in here, so I'm glad you're getting a grant to do that. So it's prevention is the key. I will tell you, great strides have also gone into changing the culture. I mean, if you've been in the fire service for some time, I mean, I started, look at me, I'm gray-haired. You're lucky if we wore a Scott pack. Now you don't go anywhere without a Scott pack. Gear is premium. You just got to use it. It's got to be a mindset to put yourself first, because the first person for your responsibility is yourself. So with that, I'd like to congratulate this year's awards winners, and hopefully next year we can continue to work with CFO, the governor, and the legislature to increase this so we can continue to reduce the incidence of cancer within the fire service. Thank you all very much.
So I've got a dear friend that I've gotten to become very close with over the last several years with Bernie Bernosca. Bernie is president of the Florida Professional Firefighters, and it's just like earlier today I had to do an interview in downtown Orlando, and the guy said, "Oh man, we're gonna really have a lot of trouble finding parking." I said, "No." I said, "I know where we're going." And so I called Bernie. I said, "Bernie," I said, "can we get a parking space at station number 1 downtown?" Because I knew we were going to be right across from Orlando Fire Rescue Station 1. So anyway, I called Bernie. We parked. We went and said hello to everybody at the station, and then we went and did our meetings. But Bernie has been an incredible, fierce champion, advocate, and a partner. We're standing up here with electeds, with our firemen, our chiefs, everybody here in a united front on the right policies for the state of Florida, because at the end of the day, we all care about the safety, health, and welfare of our first responders and all of you that don the uniform. Bernie, would you come up and say a few words? Thanks, brother. I appreciate you.
And thank you, and shameless plug, CFO, it is my anniversary today, so my wife did allow me to come here. You know, the problem with going third is your talking points are pretty much taken away, so I'm going to go full CFO Patronis on you and not use any notes. But as he mentioned, my name is Wayne Bernosca. I am the president of the Florida Professional Firefighters, representing over 26,000 paid professional firefighters here in the state of Florida, including the men and women standing in the back of the room here. So thank you for the honor of letting me do that. And as he also mentioned, I work right down the road. I'm a lieutenant paramedic for the city of Orlando. I am close to retirement, so as the chief said, if you've been around for a number of years, you've seen a lot of change in the fire service. The issue of cancer, it proceeds, it goes way past politics or labor management. It's about the health, safety, and well-being of our members, and there's nothing more important than that. As everyone's mentioned, we were able to pass a cancer law in 2019 with the help of all these legislators up here, and of course the champion behind me, our CFO. We were proud of that legislation, but after passing it, we didn't rest. And the CFO came to us and said, you know what, the way we stomp cancer out is we prevent it in the first place. So that's what the purpose of this grant was, these green buckets that you've talked of, and it really is, and as we mentioned, a change in the culture that most of us in this room have grown up in. You know, the CFO calls us heroes, and I really do appreciate that, because I look at the men and women I represent, and I do think they are heroes. I work alongside them. But we also need heroes that back up the heroes. And that person and the leadership that we don't use this term loosely in the fire service. Brotherhood is brotherhood, but Jimmy Patronis, our CFO and State Fire Marshal, is truly my brother's keeper, and he is one of us. And with champions like him and the Florida legislature, who has been supporting our efforts for the last couple of years, we're going to continue to make strides against cancer, and we're going to continue to do what's best for the Florida Fire Service. So thank you.
All right, I got to brag about our bench over here. I got the honor of serving in the Florida legislature for 8 years, and these men and women take time away from their families. We have a unique product in Florida. It's a citizen-led legislature. We have got individuals that are school teachers. They are doctors. They're retired dentists. They are business people. You name it, every profession that has existed in the state of Florida goes to Tallahassee every single year. They're about to go back there in another 2 more weeks to deal with property insurance. But they take the challenges from their districts, and their districts are all over the state of Florida, and they go back and they try to hammer out compromise, process, legislation, budgets that's in the best interest of the citizens of the state of Florida. Every single one of these folks up here, myself included, our names go on the ballot. And I tell people all the time, if you don't hold your elected officials accountable, then you get the government you deserve. I am incredibly proud to have all these individuals, 100% voting record on all of our firefighter-related issues. Every year that I've been in office, bill sponsors, advocates, champions for our first responders in so many incredible ways. And again, as I spoke to a minute ago, the bonuses that I think were so desperately needed. I think, morale of 2020 and 2021, dealing with COVID, was tough. And trying to keep those men and women focused and letting them know we appreciate it. They needed to hear it also from our leaders in Tallahassee. So I'm going to ask them to come up. If they want to speak, great. It's funny, I'm going to talk a little bit about Fred Hawkins. So Fred was a former county commissioner. And then, so he goes and does this local government bit. And as he's, on the fire lines with his local government issues, then he decides he wants to take off and go to Tallahassee. And he has been a dear friend. He has sponsored appropriations that we have needed over the last years. A lot of things came to light with the Surfside building collapse. A lot of people came to us and said, how can we help ensure that future Surfsides don't happen? How can we make sure that our first responders have the resources they need? Fred was one of the first people that stepped up and said, Jimmy, how can I help with that? So, Fred, I'm going to invite you to come up. Please say a few words. Thanks, brother.
Thank you. Well, thank you, CFO Patronis. I'm going to start by talking about him. There's things that change, techniques, training, needs and equipment, improved equipment for all of you to do your job safer, but for all of us in the public to do better. And there's no better person that has your back to make sure we know about that than this gentleman right here. So another round of applause for him. I've always said, sometime I ran in 2008 for the county commission and now for this, that every elected positions, no matter what position you're in, public safety is your number one priority. You guys, we do it as elected officials. We put our name out there. But you guys, it's a passion in what you do. I think it was correctly stated earlier, and I don't need to say about all you miss with your families and everything. That is so small compared to your passion that you do for going out there and not knowing what you're going to face. And that is just incredible that you could be going to somewhere for your own family. But the training you receive for what you do for a living and working in your community and really being a place, your firefighter house, your station is part of your community where people come for help. And you never know what that knock on that door is going to be. But we thank all of you for what you do. You are truly heroes, and you've got a great leader that's got your back, because the CFO's office is so broad what they do, but I can tell you his number one priority is looking out for what you guys do and making sure you have everything you need to do your job properly for us. So thank you all. God bless.
I've had the honor to work with Representative Elizabeth Federoff over the last 4 years, and an incredible champion, has sponsored legislation that has gone on behalf of the helping of our first responders. And anyway, just up the road a bit, I was pleasantly surprised to see her come down and join us and be part of today's presentation. and advocacy of making sure our first responders have the resources they need. Elizabeth.
Good afternoon. I have loved working with CFO Patronis over the last few years that I've been in the legislature, and he is a champion for our first responders. But I will tell you that working with him to get the cancer benefits, which took several years to get passed, was an amazing accomplishment, and I was proud to vote on that legislation and support it. But I was also the sponsor of the legislation that brings us here today, which is for the decontamination kits. And I've actually been able to tour through the state as we hand out these grants, and the impact that it's having on the lives of individuals that will not be facing cancer in the future is amazing. And if that's the one thing that I could be known for accomplishing while in the state legislature, I will take that, because I know we are really having an impact on the state of Florida, our first responders who are out there every day braving things that most of us wouldn't even think about doing. So proud to have done that, and we will continue to fight for our first responders, getting more support, more financial support, getting better salaries for you all, because we know you're doing the job that many choose not to do because we're not brave enough to do that. We don't want to walk into a burning fire. We're running from that fire. And so we're thankful that you all do that for us every day. And I look forward to continuing to fight for you in our state legislature. So thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and all your efforts. Representative Webster Barnaby, I got a funny story. So I've got an 11-year-old son who decided to. Most of the boys, I got two of them. One of them's usually on the road with me when I go, and so Johnny got to be a page this past legislative session. So he's very nervous, very uncomfortable. We just kind of dump him into the chamber, which is it's pretty humbling. This is the chamber where 50% of all the decisions are made to match with the other 50% of the Senate. To ultimately the laws that we get to live under. And so I'm sitting there trying to extract from him how was his day. And so I finally asked him, I said, do you remember any of the legislators? And he rambled off 8 or 9 legislators right off the top of his head. I don't even know 8 or 9 legislators off the top of my head. And I got notes to work from. And he says, who was nicest to me was Rep. Barnaby. And I'm thinking, so how do you make such an impression on an 11-year-old? But you know what? Kindness is what does it. Rep. Barnaby, thank you for being nice, my little boy. Come on up.
Thank you, CFO. I'm so honored to be here today. I grew up in Great Britain where we had the fire brigade. It wasn't called a fireman, it was called a fire brigade. But I'm honored to be a naturalized American, and more importantly, my son, who graduated the Naval Academy in Annapolis, served a time as a lieutenant firefighter aboard a U.S. destroyer out to sea. Today, he's just recently promoted, and he's in the Situation Room in Virginia, working to protect our safety from cyber warfare. And I'm just honored to stand here to be a fighter for the firemen. I still see you as the fire brigade, but I want to thank everyone that's here and let you know it's a great honor to serve in the Florida House. And let me just say this. I love people. I'm a people person. I came to the United States to give back. This country has been the best to me, and you guys represent part of the best. And thank you for what you do. Thank you, CFO.
I've had the pleasure of working with the next Representative Camilla Brown over the last several years. Again, we're in her district. We're just 2 miles away from her office, and anyway, there's so many issues that it's so appreciative on behalf of our office that she has been so supportive to help us get across the finish line, and honored to be in her backyard today. Rep. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. As you mentioned, I'm State Representative Camilla Brown, representing each and every one of you all in the Florida House. I just want to take the time to say thank you. Thank you for all the work that you are doing to protect and serve us. And it is just an honor to have the opportunity to be a part of a team that protects and serves you in the Florida legislature. This issue, particularly relating to cancer benefits and prevention, is one that's always been near and dear to my heart. When I hit these communities, the community of Ocala, back in 2016, asking for an opportunity to serve in the House, it was one of your own who took me up under his wing and definitely supported and made sure there were materials out within the community, and actually was one that took me to meet Mr. Bernaska. And I want to say to him, unfortunately at the time I met him, he was actually suffering with cancer. And so, it was, based off of what he and who he was to me in my life, it was one thing that I made sure I took him to Tallahassee with me to advocate for things such as this. And so I am happy to see that just with bipartisanship and support, that we've been able to, protect you all and make sure we do the things we need to do to make sure you have the things that you deserve. And so thank you for all you do, and may God continue to bless you.
And last but not least, I got to tell everybody that those that may not keep up with civics like I do, one senator's worth about a dozen House members, okay? So I'm sorry, it's the rule of numbers. There's only 40 senators. There's like 170 or 80,000 House members. No, honestly, there's 40 senators. There's 120 House members. But Senator Wright is such an amazing champion. This is a man who he can be retired. He can be enjoying his family. He can be vacationing. He can be enjoying his hard work of the fruits of his life. He's been a very successful businessman, a very generous businessman. But no, he decides to be part of the Florida legislature, and he continues to give, and he continues to fight, and he continues to ask the questions that need to be asked, because we need to ensure that we're doing everything possible, which he makes sure, everything possible, that our first responders have what they need to do their job. Senator Wright?
Thank you. How do I follow that, huh? Well, let me tell you, being in the Florida Senate it's actually an honor. And I look forward to serving with Jimmy Patronis on any bills that he needs for his firefighters. I jump at the chance when his office says, hey, we have a bill, yes, just bring it down. You don't even have to tell me what it is. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. When I was 6 years old, myself, my two younger brothers, and my mother almost perished in a house fire. And the rest of my life I have said to myself, why did God save me that day? Why did those firefighters? 7 communities, mutual aid, came together to save our family. It's my turn to give back. So that's why I think God has me here, is to make sure that I take care of others. And I'm so proud to be standing with all of these firefighters and paramedics and EMS personnel in my sight, because these are the men and women that made a difference in my life. And I will do anything to help you, Jimmy. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for letting me be here. Thank
you. He's a sharp dresser too. Okay, so let's present some checks. What we'll do is, I think we'll maybe move the podium out of the way. We'll make the checks here right front and center. Guys, if y'all don't mind, why don't y'all come and get up here with us photos, because y'all are going to be the beneficiaries. Y'all come all up and we'll have a good group photo. Give us a little second. We're going to get set up. Make sure I'm not. What? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you set us up. You direct.
All right,
Oh, well, I'll slide over here then. Yo, come on. Get the important folks over here.
only be a minor surcharge for the county pictures from us.